I'm gonna let her speak first.
Welcome back to Is Your Faith Problematic? On this episode, we're going to be covering Metallica. This band is ancient, so let's just jump straight in because it's going to be very, very long. But before we start, let's have some content warnings. And starting off with a bang, there is their anti-Semitism. First, there's this picture of Hetfield and Ulrich doing a Nazi salute. More recently, Hetfield plays on this guitar that contains iron crosses. And if you don't know, iron crosses are neo-Nazi dog whistle symbols. Then there's also the fact that he hung out with Carrie King, this Aryan Brotherhood looking motherfucker right here, who is obviously very proud to be wearing a Confederate flag. And then a video of one of their former members doing a Nazi salute and march. Next up, there's some more racism.
And I heard James say about Ice-T, because Ice-T was supposed to join us on the tour. He said, I don't want to share my stage with a N-word.
And that story's even corroborated by Axl Rose himself.
Before the show ended, though, Rose got in a few verbal licks at GNR's one-time tour mates Metallica, especially lead singer James Hetfield, whom Rose called a racist. Apparently because Axl blames Hetfield for keeping Ice-T and Body Count off last year's GNR Metallica tour.
Then there's his racism against East Asian people, and his use of the O word, and making fun of the call to stop calling people that word.
You don't know Kung Fu? All our Oriental fans smashing Metallica records.
Isn't it Asian? Politically sensitive?
Wow, man, I'm really enjoying.
Then there was this statement that he was praised for speaking out against racism, even though at the beginning of it they talk about how they don't care who you voted for, as if Trump supporters weren't supporting racist policies. If you care enough about racism to denounce it, then you should probably care about who people are voting for, because those people influence policies that are racist. But don't worry, they spoke about Black Lives Matter. All of them did, except for the lead singer, of course. And they did that with some black squares, no resources, and no donations. Next up is how they made fun of addiction, mental health, and suicide. First, there's how they mocked Lane Staley's drug addiction by motioning needles going into their arms. What I find weird about this is that they are so quick to make fun of somebody's drug addiction, but when James himself was put into rehab, that's when they started taking drug addiction seriously. But of course they only care about issues when it pertains them. And finally, there's how they mocked Kurt Cobain's suicide, days after it happened.
What color was Kurt Cobain's eyes? Blue. One blue this way, one blue that. That's 4 arms and 4 legs and worse than McDonald's. The remaining members of Nirvana.
It was a good aim.
There's probably much more of this considering that they're a band full of white men from the 80s, but this is all I could find for right now. So if I missed anything, please let me know.
Now, it's the metalhead TikToker's turn.
Oh, Serena! Hi. I wanted to come on here to make the hole a little bigger in that thin ice you stepped on, putting huge cracks in with this vigorous claim and very flawed claim that Metallica is racist. Let's get started. This first clip that you claim is anti-Semitism of Lars and James doing the Nazi salute as a joke, because if you look closely, James Hetfield is putting his finger over his mustache as a way to mock Hitler's appearance. And then, of course, you also claim this as anti-Semitism of James Hetfield's guitar having a depiction of the Iron Cross. I don't know if you know this, but the Iron Cross is literally the logo that the German military has been using for the past 40, 50 plus years since World War I and World War II. And they still use it as a depiction of the German military today. And everyone who knows that the entirety of Germany and the military were all anti-Nazism. And this pic of James Hetfield with Carrie King, who happens to be wearing a shirt of the Confederate flag. What does that have to do with James Hetfield and Metallica? Carrie King is not Metallica, so that can just be put to the side, because that makes no sense. And then this guy right here, my man Jason Newsted, doing a very silly interpretation of the Nazi march and salute in the middle of Russia, who all of Russia is also anti-Nazi, because that's where the show took place. And also Jason was drunk off his ass, so yeah. And this one right here where James is quoting a movie quote that was big in the late 80s, early 90s. Where is this racist to Asian people? As well as him calling out his fans on the European side as Oriental. I don't think you even know what Oriental means. Let's look it up. And I actually asked somebody, by the way, to clarify. Look what they said up top. I asked them as reference, and they told me this. Coming or associated with Eastern Asia, no derogatory implications unless implied. In this clip, he was giving a shout out to his Oriental fans for making his records more popular. And also the fact that they were able to get the opportunities to travel and perform in the Eastern countries. And the thing with the Black Lives Matter movement, with everyone else posting about it, James Hetfield has no social media, so I don't know how that makes him racist for not posting about it. And this clip of them talking about Kurt Cobain's death drunk off their asses shouldn't even be worth referencing because it doesn't even make sense with your claim. Including this clip of Dave Mustaine, who is not a member of Metallica. Dave Mustaine is Megadeth. You tried so hard and yet you failed.
Alright, we've all probably seen this video by now, and there's a lot of videos debunking why it's wrong, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is show why she's no one to talk. Because thankfully, you left your Spotify link open. Now, let's start off with a big one. We got Nicki Minaj. If you don't know, Nicki Minaj is married to a man who has a sexual assault charge on him, and I'm pretty sure a rape one as well, and is commonly known as a rape apologist. Doesn't look good on you for calling other cancelable artists out when you listen to people like that. But that's not the end of it. Ariana Grande, not too long ago, called out for Asian fishing. Doja Cat recently hit up Noah Schnapp, a minor, to get an adult's number. I don't know if that's cancelable or not, but to me that's just fucking weird. Isn't that weird? System of a Down, they use the N-word in a song. They're not black, but look at this. You like Metallica. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
As a response to Serena Trueblood with her problems with Metallica. First off, the notes in the thing, I find it interesting that they only cared about gatekeeping in the fandom when they started getting big again from Stranger Things. They were already big. They did not need Stranger Things. This band is ancient. So thanks for the ageism. Very nice. Content warnings, because we're going to talk about things. We're going to say words like racism and Nazi. Ooh, scary. Oh, and anti-Semitism. Out of context, they were in Berlin. They were playing at the site of an atrocity, and they were making fun of the Nazis and the fact that they were there. Yes, does that make them Nazis? No. And this is cute. She says, oh, he's obviously racist and an anti-Semite because he hung out with Kerry King, who has a bald head. And she calls him an Aryan Brotherhood looking motherfucker. He was wearing a Confederate flag t-shirt, I'll give her that. But yes, he was doing a Nazi march across the stage, but they were playing, context matters, they were playing Am I Evil, which is a commentary on Nazism, fascism, and to it. If James did say that, shame on him. That's horrible. It's a horrible thing to say. But also, 30 years ago, he's a different man today than he was 30 years ago. Time doesn't erase racism, blah, 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 whiny. But it kind of does. People can change. And then she says something about his use of the O word. What is it? Oh, because he said Oriental, so O is the O word. Again, we got a trigger warning. Words are the worst. Kirk Hammett's half Filipino. So basically, she's saying, because you don't believe what I believe, you have to be shut down. You have to be canceled. That's not how freedom of speech works. That's not how freedom of religion, how freedom of political viewpoint works. I don't have to believe what you believe, and you don't have to believe what I believe. I'm not a Trump supporter. But, and also I'm Canadian, so I'm not in the US. But if I were in the US, the way that I understand your Constitution, it is your right to believe in Trump if you want. I don't have to like it. I don't have to agree with you. Why do you get to sit on your high horse and preach that somebody has to do something the way that you see it, and you're the only one that gets to have that freedom of expression, but that other person doesn't? That doesn't make sense to me, and that is hypocritical. Yeah, they did make fun of addiction and mental health. You have to understand, for millennials, and actually what I would call myself as a zennial, I was born in 79. Mental health was not something that we talked about. It was made fun of. You were not a strong person. You were not a good person if you had a mental problem. Depression, anxiety, anything like that. And it was to be made fun of 100%. It was a different time. My question to her, right, Serena Trueblood, is what's up with your eyeliner? That is some pretty heavy-duty eyeliner. Are you Egyptian? Are you allowed to be wearing that eyeliner? Because if not, girl, that is cultural appropriation, and we need to cancel you.
Oh my god, Metallica from Stranger Things. I love your song, Master of Puppets. Thank you, it means a lot. Do you even know any other songs aside from Master of Puppets? Come on, man, you don't have to do that. I mean, it's starting a whole new generation of fans. Trust me, dude, I don't think you want this generation to be fans of yours. Hey, I know more than one Metallica song. Okay, what album came before Master of Puppets? Ride the Thunder, duh. They'll learn. Okay, well, can't say I didn't warn you. Come on, you don't have to be like that. Don't worry, this will go perfectly fine. Hey, Metallica, what the fuck? What? So, I just looked into your history, and, do you have any idea how problematic this is? Like, I am so triggered right now, like, my internal being is literally shook right now because of everything that you've done that happened so many years ago, and even though What did I say? What did I say? No one listens to me, bro. What did I f***ing say?
Welcome back to Is Your Faith Problematic? On this episode, we're going to be covering Metallica. This band is ancient, so let's just jump straight in because it's going to be very, very long.
Oh boy. And as you notice, that's not a proper stitch because she has comments, stitching, and duetting turned off. First of all, your video was horribly researched. Like, it is ridiculous how many things you got wrong. Number one, saying that all members of Metallica except James Hetfield post about Black Lives Matter, and you pointed out that he didn't post about it. Well, guess what? He doesn't use social media, so that's why he didn't do it. Secondly, and I don't know why this is in the video because it's not Metallica, but you had to reference the fact that James Hetfield is pictured with Kerry King, and you said that Kerry King is racist. What? Then again, you also claim that all the members of Metallica are racist, but yet they got Lloyd Grant to play the original guitar solo and Hit the Lights way back in the day, and here's him playing at the 30th anniversary show for Metallica, but yeah, sure, they're racist. Also, this is their bass player since 2003, Rob Trujillo, but yet you're saying, yeah, they're all racist. What? A lot of the stuff she covers in her video is 30 plus years old, and the thing she covers most recently is James Hetfield has some guitars with iron crosses on them. She goes on to say that that iron cross is clearly representing this, and I don't know if I can say this word, so I'll spread it out. Not C. And that's what it has to represent, right? No. If you actually do the research, which clearly you didn't do research, iron crosses started to be used back in the 1700s, and yes, it was used for the thing you're saying, but James Hetfield used those iron crosses to have a tribute to Lemmy. It's clear it's kind of a tribute to Lemmy, and also the fact that it's a symbol used by bikers, which he is one. He loves cars. He loves bikes. That's why he does it. You're saying that he's openly representing this Iron Cross and saying it's part of that? No, you're just jumping to that narrative because it fits your narrative. Of course, she didn't say that Rob Trujillo is now their bass player and the fact that Kirk Hammett is half Filipino, or the fact that Metallica is one of the most charitable bands of all time and they have their own charity all within my hands helping feed people and they do all this charitable work all the damn time. But no, that doesn't fit your narrative, so I'm not going to mention it. Here's a fun fact. Every single person you look up to, musician, actor, whatever it is, have all done something in their past that if you found out about it, they could be canceled because we've all made mistakes. We're not fucking perfect. Welcome to the world. Nobody is perfect. Let's end with the most ridiculous story that cannot be proven. That apparently James Hetfield, lead singer, said the N-word back in the 90s, right? And it's corroborated by Axl Rose, the lead singer of Guns N' Roses. Are you kidding me? She even says in her video, Axl Rose corroborates this story. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Back then, Axl Rose was the biggest piece of shit, the biggest diva, and nobody liked him. Hardly anybody liked him back then. And you're gonna believe him over James Hetfield. Okay.
Hey. Hello? Serena? Ray? Girly? We need to talk. I saw this in your story, and it got me thinking. Well, I'll be damned. Or am I? I scoured the internet looking up stuff like James Hetfield racist, or swapping the keywords to James Hetfield racial slur, James Hetfield body count, bunch of stuff like that. You telling me James Hetfield actually said this? Really? So I did a little digging. So I was able to find a video of the Ice-T's version of that with Jane's Addiction, who the lead vocalist is a white man singing the racial slurs, which I'm surprised you never even took that into consideration. Because this whole claim was about James Hetfield saying the N slur, who everybody, including yourself, is believing that claim that was originally derived from Axl Rose, to whom everybody who knows Axl Rose and the kind of person he is, who's a real POS and way beyond more problematic than James Hetfield, let alone Metallica as an entire group alone. I am absolutely astounded that you believe him of all people. And then I did some more digging, because Axl Rose is the same guy who wrote the song 1 in a Million that contains the N-word in his lyrics. Don't believe me? There it is! Would you look at that? I even did some more digging to possibly find out where you pulled that suspicious picture from. Apparently somebody decided to make this post about Reddit, who clearly is deaf and did not read the lyrics, because apparently it sounds like, according to this person, that the lyrics of For Whom the Bell Tolls, he says that, but the lyrics literally say, make us fight on the hill in the early days. How does that sound like the N-word? And then I did a little scrolling through all of this. Oh look, Metallica fans cite Axl Rose's controversies. Again, y'all are believing Axl Rose of all people. There's all of that. And then we get to unrelated articles and more unrelated articles. Oh, I have more. I went through all of these, finding nothing except the same stuff that I've talked about before. There is not a bit of evidence of James actually saying the N-word other than that screenshot of yours, which comes down to this. Either that post is 100% fake, or you just can't read and are misquoting somebody else heavily and using it to accuse James of being racist once again. Pathetic.
Welcome back to Is Your Faith Problematic? On this episode, we're going to be covering Metallica. This band is ancient, so...
First and foremost, I'm not going to defend what you have found. But what I am going to say is, coming from a generation that has not put down a cell phone videoing everything that they have done, I guarantee you, in 20, 30, 40 years from now, you are going to have some regrets for things that came out of your mouth. People that were raised in the 70s and 80s had different things that they were told. We were raised by a totally different generation of parents than you guys are. So I guarantee you the things that you found in these are very regrettable things, but good luck trying to cancel them. You'd have to cancel all of heavy metal, and that's never, ever going to happen. Good day.
If you've been on the metal side of TikTok, then you've probably seen this girl around. This is Serena Trueblood, the girl who is quote-unquote trying to hold Metallica accountable for past actions. A lot of people are saying she's trying to cancel them, and I kind of agree. A lot of the stuff that she's been saying in her video is completely taken out of context, and I'm going to actually prove a lot of that stuff wrong. This picture of James and Lars doing the Nazi salute actually ties in with something later, but a bit of foreshadowing. If you look on the wall, it looks like it says Berlin. The iron crosses are not neo-Nazi symbols, in fact have been used as early as 1870, and they're still used today as the German version of the Medal of Honor. You also say in your video that Kerry King looks like he's a member of the Aryan Brotherhood because he has a bald head. I have found multiple sources that says that Kerry King is actually Jewish. The video of Jason doing the Nazi salute ties back into the Berlin picture from earlier. Long story short, they were playing a show in Berlin where a bunch of Nazi atrocities happened, and they were doing this to clearly make fun of the Nazis. Also, the song that they were playing when Jason did this is a song called Am I Evil, which is a song that actually criticizes the Nazis. Context matters, folks. Now, the whole thing about James being racist towards Ice-T, if that is true, then yeah, he deserves to be called out for that. However, I don't believe you because you cite your source as Axl Rose. Axl Rose is the lead singer of Guns N' Roses, and he wrote a song called 1 in a Million in which he very explicitly says the N-word. And when he was called out for this, he released a statement to Rolling Stone in which he says the word a total of 7 times. In his response, he basically says, well, if they can say it, why can't I? Which is exactly something a racist would say. But if this whole thing about James being racist towards Ice-T is true, then why hasn't Ice-T himself spoken up about this? In fact, I actually tried to search if Ice-T had said anything about this, and all I found was this statement in which Ice-T says he had no problem with Metallica performing at the Grammys with Lady Gaga. That's it, that's all I found. The whole thing about James saying the O-word obviously is not okay either. However, the band's lead guitarist is Filipino, and something tells me that he may have been okay with James saying this stuff. This part in which you say that they should care about who you vote for just sounds like you're trying to push your own beliefs, which is irrelevant to the situation. James not posting anything about BLM is not a coincidence, and it's not because he's racist either. It's because James Hetfield has not been on social media since 2016. This clip in which you say they supposedly mock Lane Staley's drug addiction literally has no mention of Lane Staley anywhere in the video. And this clip of the jokes they were making about Kurt Cobain's suicide was not days later, it was actually months later, when Cobain's suicide was old news by this point. You also threw in this random clip of Dave Mustaine, which tells me that you did enough research to know that Dave Mustaine was in Metallica at one point, even though he never appeared on any of their albums. But if that's the case, then why didn't you do research on anything else? You end your video by saying that it's no surprise that Metallica is problematic because they're a bunch of old white dudes from the 80s. Lars is Danish, Kirk is Filipino, like I already mentioned, and Rob is Mexican and Native American. Yeah, just a bunch of old white dudes. If you're gonna cancel Metallica, do your research next time.